the Rock to bring his ass to this ring. Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Back with you live and about as in color as I can possibly get. I'm WB Ward.
And I'm Chick Douglas.
Got another exciting week of pro wrestling in the books.
Heck yeah, we do.
Okay, we got a bit of a conundrum going on with WWE's pay-per-view schedule, in as much as, my God, are they going to be doing them every 2 weeks now? You know,
I don't get it.
On one hand, from a business standpoint, I understand what they're wanting to do, because obviously this is a ploy to try to enrich the subscriptions to the WWE network, making it a more viable thing from a financial standpoint,
right.
Because it's just like, oh, let's go sign up with the WWE network. They got Elimination Chamber, which that in itself is kind of cool. However, isn't that a little bit of a drain on an already handicapped creative team?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not going to use this as the tweet of the week, but I was looking through tweets, and WB Creative Humor made the observation, Elimination Chamber's back because our roster isn't injured enough. I mean, come on.
You should have used that one.
No,
I can't wait to hear the one that you did use.
No,
then
I got another one.
Okay, all right, but that's cool. But you know, there is a way the creative could do it, and one thing that I would, if I could give them any advice, it would be this. And this is a lesson that I learned back when I was performing my Mentalist show. Because a lot of the routines that I would do would require a lot of setup on the part of the audience. You know, people had to go prepare, you know, something to write on, or I had to get two people aside to have them do something. And then while they were doing that, I was actually moving on to another routine,
right? Thereby
layering the storylines.
And not only, don't forget, we had King of the Ring.
Yes.
Which was a pay-per-view upon itself back in the day.
Yes. And
the lack of promotion for that, it was literally announced on Monday, done on Tuesday, wash your hands of it.
It's like my love life.
Like, oh, gosh.
It was wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm out of here. Lord. But, you know, if they did stagger the stories, I could see where it would be possible to work. But, man, that would be so problematic. And they have a hard time keeping up with the storylines as it is. I just don't know if they can handle that much.
Yeah.
But
it'd be interesting to see how they do Elimination Chamber itself, the actual match itself.
Speaking of tweet of the week, let me press this button right here. Get Lurch into going, and on with the show.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I love it when he does that.
0.
What time is it, kids?
Oh! That's right, kids. It's that time of the month. This week's
Don't rag on me.
This week's Tweet of the Week is brought to you by WB Creative Humor. We are 6 nights away from the biggest pay-per-view of May. In parentheses, as long as you don't count the next pay-per-view in May.
Okay. I see why you saved that one for the tweet of the week. I got you. Yeah, I was looking at the tickets for Payback, which will be at the Royal Farms Arena, formerly the Baltimore Arena, appropriately enough, in Baltimore, Maryland. Tickets start at $25 and go up to $400. Now, I went through Ticketmaster, that's where I got my ticket prices from. And here we are 4 days away from their pay-per-view. And I had them search for available tickets. They still have tickets that are 3 rows deep in ringside.
Really?
Not sold out.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen.
Well, I mean, you look at these, you know, for the past, you know, you've been doing that for about the past 8 months.
Yes.
And you look at Ticketmaster, I mean, so you would know, do you think maybe just because the location has a lot to do with it?
Well, of course, that's a possibility given the current political climate in Baltimore. It could be that people are hesitant to travel there. I don't know. I think a bigger portion of this is, I'm afraid WWE may be spreading themselves a bit thin. You know, you've often argued that when it comes to people like Paul Heyman and the one who beat the one, you know, I'm stalling because my mind's going blank. I can't think of his name. Brock Lesnar, thank you. You're telling me, and you've shared many times, that the one thing that keeps Brock Lesnar special is the fact that he's not there very much.
Right.
Well, just taking it to this level here, WWE pay-per-views are becoming where they're not that special. It's becoming the rule of thumb. Their pay-per-views are nothing more than a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, well, and two, they do their main events on Raw like it is a pay-per-view, which is okay, but you still have to live something up to chance. You have to live or have the anticipation, I really don't know. And really with this pay-per-view, we do know. That's the crappy thing about this. So I look at that as one of the areas. The second area is the talent that they have right now. I'm fans of a lot of them, but when you look at the heyday, there isn't anyone on this roster that can compete with a Triple H, that can compete with a Rock or Stone Cold. Heck, even John Cena, which I'm gonna get into John Cena here in a little bit because I'm gonna give him some props.
Okay.
But they're just not that level of creativity, and I think a lot of it is because of the creative team, because of the fact they are not allowed to really express themselves. They're not allowed to open up and be who they want to be.
By the way,
except for Dean Ambrose, I think he's the only one that kind of, and Bray Wyatt, but
yeah. By the way, this is a question perhaps I shouldn't have been asking during the show. I should have asked this before we started recording. But just to keep everything frank, honest, and on the level, did you get that private message I sent you with that link on Facebook?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Did you have a chance to watch that?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Oh, I wonder if they took it down. What I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, I sent him a link to the Behind the Curtains special that was broadcast on ESPN. I am so glad I watched that. I have a new respect.
I told you.
I have a new respect for the WWE, especially Paul Levesque. They really focused on Paul, Triple H. They really focused on him and how much he cares about his wrestlers.
Yes.
There's one announcer that I always kind of looked at and I thought, why the hell is he sitting there? This guy doesn't have any talent at all. And it's a real skinny guy that I knew at the time he's from NXT. Corey
Graves.
Yeah, Corey Graves.
That is so good.
And I found out how he wound up in the announcer position. I'm kind of having to backtrack on my opinion of him now. And I have to give the guy some real props. Because for those of you who don't know, he was in NXT, suffered major injuries where he's not allowed to wrestle anymore. He's got a wife and a child at home. Triple H stood up to the plate and said, man, tell you what, you've done some good here. You've been injured, but you were a good performer. I think you still have something to offer. I'm going to give you a 2-year contract as an announcer.
Incredible.
And I thought, man, that is just awesome. So
yep.
I got to hand it to him. And so I have newfound respect for Corey going into this as well, because now that I know a little bit of the backstory of how he got where he is, I think I can see some improvement coming his way as an announcer. And that's one part of wrestling over which I do know something about, which I speak.
Triple H is one of the boys.
I was really impressed.
And I think that's where a lot of it stems from, because, man, he worked just as hard as anyone to get where he was and where he is now, especially where he is now. Mm-hmm. He started exactly where those guys were.
Now, if I understood something you just said, do you hear a ringing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. It's not just me.
No.
Oh, it's not in the system. It's some kind of external.
Yeah, somewhere outside.
Anyway, did I understand you right to say you were going to give props to John Cena?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Let me check something here. Check one of the news websites.
Checking the weather.
Yeah. No, hell hasn't frozen over. So what's going on?
No, I just the past couple of weeks, I've been really impressed with John Cena being the step up to the plate and really help develop younger talent. He was okay. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just guessing because he is very much a company man. Mm-hmm. He was okay with not being in the main event of WrestleMania. He was okay with being the United States champion. Mm-hmm. He's okay with fighting Rusev over and over. And the past 2 weeks, he's okay with having competitive matches with younger up-and-coming talent. To me, that screams professionalism. And really a caring for the business. His match with Sami Zayn last week stole the show.
Yes.
And this week they did it again with Adrian Neville. or just Neville. I didn't realize they changed his name.
Yeah, they're just calling him Neville.
Neville.
Yep.
Which is weird to me. It sounds like a chipmunk.
Yes, it does.
But incredible match. And John Cena is, I don't know if he's this humble, but he's okay with this. 2 weeks in a row, two new guys who have not done a thing in WWE. Neville was the NXT champion for a while. He was okay with both of them kicking out of the AA.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
Well,
it's huge. He's okay with that.
I appreciate what you're saying about Cena, and it's something that echoes my opinion because I've always been a Cena fan.
Heck, he would have lost. He was okay with having his shoulders pinned if of course the Rusev thing came in. But
do you think it helps? I mean, he has this great attitude, but also he's got a hell of a paycheck.
Well, of course he does.
That's got to help fuel that.
But at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of people back in the day who are in the top spots would not be having competitive matches with.
Now, Triple H would have to be at the top of that list.
That he wouldn't?
No, that he would not have done that. I as fond of him as I am, especially now after seeing that special, I also know he's got one hell of a huge ego.
I disagree with that because he has done it. He's done it for Randy Orton. He did it for Batista.
Well, he has done it, but he has done it very selectively.
Right.
Probably a lot more so than Cena.
But let's say Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I mean, he didn't want to lose a lot. He wanted that whole reputation and being competitive. So if he had a match with, I'm trying to think back here in the day, in the early '90s when he's on top of the world in WWE, and he faced, let's say Shawn Michaels from the Rockers,
yeah,
an up and coming talent, and if he gave him the big boot and leg drop, you really think he would let Shawn Michaels kick out? Even though Hulk Hogan would still end up winning.
No, that's true. I will agree with you there.
That would be a cold day in hell.
That's true. That's true. I will give you that.
He wouldn't even do it for Bret Hart.
Now I love the fact though that you're willing to give Cena creds over this. I think that speaks a lot on your character, and God knows your character needs that.
Absolutely, it's been drugged through the mud a lot.
All right, let's go ahead and get under our inevitable predictions for this coming.
Oh, can I admit?
Sure.
Wait, I don't know if they're on the pay-per-view or not. But I just want to say, I love the Damien Sandow Axelmania bit.
Actually, it's a good place to start because they're the kickoff match.
Oh, okay, good.
They will be taking on the Ascension.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So between Axel and Mandel, now you've got a different opinion. Now, I'm a Mandel fan, but Axel, I can kind of live without that.
I like it. I still like it. I think both of them together kind of fit, and his whole pun of Hulk Hogan, I think it's funny. I think it's even better now they got Sandow doing Macho Man.
Yeah. And
now you got are they called the Mega Powers? Please tell me they are.
I don't think they are just yet because when I checked it on WWE.com, they're just simply referring to them as Axel and Mandel.
And if you were, I don't know, this is going to have to go back to the think tank a little bit, but when they originally created the Mega Powers, it was a handshake in the middle of the ring, just like they did.
Yeah.
And Macho Man did the same exact thing that Sandow did when he used his other hand to hold the wrist before he shook his hand. I thought that was brilliant. Sandow had to watch that over and over, and so did Axel to get to be identical to what they did back, whenever it happened, 89, 90, whenever it was. So, but
only you would notice that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course I did. I guarantee I'm not the only one, but yes, I did notice that. And I didn't have to go back to watch the original tape either. I immediately knew that. That's exactly what Macho Man did. But as far as predictions go, there's no way Ascension's winning. I'm calling them in Mega Powers. The Mega Powers are winning.
Okay, now I'm going the other direction on that because I'm thinking, okay, the Ascension is a new tag team. Axel and Mandel are a new tag team, yes, but they are anything but new. I can see this spinning off to another feud type between Axel and Mandel should they lose, and I think the Ascension is in need of a bit of a push, so I'm going to be going with the Ascension on this one.
I think Axel and Sandow, mark my words, give it 3 months, they'll be champions.
Very possibly could be, because, one thing that I mentioned last week is that the tag team titles are going to be playing, they're going to be playing hot potato with that until the
Usos get back.
Yeah, until the Usos come back.
And there's
so
no
that very well could be true.
Face tag team. They could build this and they could be that.
So, since we brought that up, let's go ahead and talk about the boy, that was a smooth transition.
I know, we're right on,
let's talk about that tag team, because the New Day and Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are going to be taking on, and I like the idea that they're going back to the old school. They're going to be doing this the best 2 out of 3 falls, which they're probably doing this as old school, doing it that way to fill time, because they've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches covered in this, counting the ones that we've already talked about.
Right.
So they probably just need to fill time. But with this one, I'm thinking they're trying to build New Day. New Day's not going the way creative has anticipated. They really wanted them to go over as baby faces, but the crowd is not accepting that. I think they're going to try to do this as a heel push for New Day. So I think New Day is going to walk out with the gold.
I agree. So we're going to have to figure this way. Who's going to win the first fall? Are you going to say New Day?
New Day.
Say New Day 2-0? Or?
I think they're going to go with the traditional win-loss-win pattern of the 2 out of 3.
I agree.
So I think New Day would have to win. Well, no, they don't have to win the first one in order for that to happen. They only have to win the third one in order for that to happen.
Right.
But overall, you're going to agree with me.
New Day. This whole heel persona is actually working really well. I think it's a classic. Let the crowd make the decision, which is very rare now. They rarely do that. But yeah, I think New Day is a great little heel tag team, and really they don't need to change anything. That's the great thing about the team right now is they're fine. Don't change a thing. Don't do a Cesaro where you want him to be a heel and you take away his most over move of the swing just because you want him to be a heel. I hope they don't do that. I mean, what they have going right now works.
Yeah, and what they've done with the swing, incorporating Tyson Kidd into that,
and now it's back because they want to be a face.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. What I can see happening, and no, this is not an official prediction, but what I think is going to happen with the storyline on that, New Day is going to take that tag team championship. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are going to start having a little bit of friction, starting the inevitable team implosion that always happens on these things.
It's too early though.
But I think it's going to take a while, and I think before it's all said and done, it's going to be the storyline is going to involve Cesaro having an affair with Natalya.
Oh,
that's where I can see that going with.
All right. Yeah,
okay. Cena versus Rusev.
Lucifer. Yeah, this is pretty given. I think it's Cena.
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that. Because I don't know if you and I are agreeing or not. Because of the fact I am saying that there's not going to be any decision. What's the name of the move of Rusev's?
Accolade?
The Accolade. Yeah, the Accolade.
Sorry, I was being yawn.
That's okay. What I can see happening on that.
Sorry.
Hey, if that's Cena calling, tell him to leave me alone. I'll pay him back when I get paid. What I can see happening, because Cena has blacked out now no less than 2 times to the Accolade, I can see it happening a 3rd time. And because he won't be able to continue because he's blacked out, and this is not a win by pinfall, I think the match is going to end without a winner because nobody's going to say, I quit.
What if they did it exactly what you said, but with Rusev?
With Rusev blacking out?
Yeah.
No, because you see his character, I can see his character saying, I quit. Probably with some encouraging words from Lana ringside.
Right.
But I get your point. I get your point, because it could work either way.
I think it'd work for his character. I don't know. I would think it'd just be an avenue to look at. It couldn't be like the Stone Cold No I Quit, where, it was to put Stone Cold over as a babyface, Bret Hart as a heel. He couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I think it would give Rusev, because Cena doing it ain't going to do crap. Let's face facts.
Well,
if anything, it's going to piss the crowd off. And, Baltimore, they're already used to rioting, so you really don't want that again.
Yeah, that's true.
So
now, one thing I will say, and I'm not going to back off of my prediction. I'm still going to hold that there's not going to be a decision. However, I will say this. If it turns out that Cena does say I quit, it will be the prelude to him turning heel.
Oh, I agree.
But so far, everything has been a prelude to him turning heel.
Right.
Okay, that leaves us with the only one.
Man,
No. We got two matches more.
I always hate talking about Cena turning heel, but every time I bring it up, it's always the perfect timing. But really, right now, it's perfect timing.
If you were a weatherman and every day predicted 20% chance of rain, eventually you're going to say, yeah, I was 100% accurate.
I could be a meteorologist in our great state of Oklahoma.
That's true. Two more matches. We're going to deal with the big one last. First off, Ryback versus Wyatt, probably what I think will be the sleeper match of the night. With Bray Wyatt coming out making all these overtones, I think Ryback actually needs the push, so I think WWE Creative is going to have Ryback go over.
I'll be the opposite.
The protagonist?
I'll say Bray Wyatt.
Well, is it just me, or do you also think this will be kind of a sleeper?
Oh, the build-up's been a sleeper.
Oh, yeah.
It's been absolutely horrendous.
What build-up?
Exactly.
There's been build-up?
You're taking two stalemated characters.
Yes.
And just throwing them in the ring together and say, okay, let's hope they do something.
Now, if they do anything interesting, here's one thing they could do. Since two of the Wyatt family have seemed to have reunited, in the guise of
Rowan and Harper.
Rowan and Harper seem to have kissed and made up. If they happen to show up, thereby completing the Wyatt family circle, that could be a prelude to something very cool up on the horizon, because I think they abandoned that idea way too soon.
I would be okay with that. I'd be okay with them bringing back the Wyatt family.
Okay, the biggie of the night, fatal four-way, Rollins versus Orton versus Ambrose versus Reigns. You and I kind of tipped our hands last week. I've got to go with Rollins because I think that's where it's going to go. However, I did hear a rumor, emphasis on word rumor, this week, that after this pay-per-view, Ambrose is going to become a part of the Authority.
What?
If that's true, then Ambrose should have the belt.
Where'd you hear that?
Just in passing, talking with somebody who's kind of in the know.
What are your inside sources?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
They're kind of sort. I don't know that I would stake a reputation on them or anything.
Okay.
But the credibility is overall not too bad.
Man, wouldn't that be something?
I can see some interesting things coming of that if that turns out to be the case.
Right.
Possibly the dumping of the dumping of Seth Rollins from the Authority, having to do a complete reversal of the heel and face between the two. I think it'd be interesting, but I'm going to stick with my earlier predictions of Seth Rollins coming out on that.
Okay. I'll stick with you. I'll say Rollins too.
But where does that leave Ambrose and Reigns and Orton? Because
I would change. I would almost change my opinion. Here's why: because they now have, through the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view now in it, so they could easily turn the belt over in this pay-per-view for a couple weeks, and then have something happen at Elimination Chamber.
One thing that's really cool about this pay-per-view.
So I actually could see Ambrose or Orton winning. Ambrose going to Authority.
That would be neat.
It'd be neat.
I don't know that I agree with it, but that is the rumor that I heard. One thing that's really neat about this pay-per-view's main event, Rollins, Orton, Ambrose, and Reigns. You got 4 potential strong wrestlers there.
Right.
4 very good performers.
Right.
Reigns has really showed some improvement of his ring ability and his microphone skills. So I think he's really viable candidate for WrestleMania material. Ambrose and Orton have already established themselves. As a matter of fact, I think they've kind of ignored Ambrose way too long.
Yeah.
He certainly went over with his hometown of Cincinnati. He certainly went over well with them. And he tends to go over well with just about any audience he's in front of.
It's true.
I think if he did turn heel, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't see him going to Authority without turning heel, though.
No. No, not at all.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. I will say this though, Triple H as of late has been coming across as more of a face manager than anything.
He has. Yes, he has. I mean, what he did on Monday, I thought was very, very face-like.
Mm-hmm. Kane is obviously getting ready to flip.
Somehow he is. I would actually prefer Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Flipping. If
Flipping the heel?
Flip. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'd prefer Roman Reigns.
Now that kind of surprises me to hear you say that.
I think it'd be a bigger shocker.
It definitely would be that.
And you know me, I'm all about the element of surprise. That's the reason I lived and breathed for the Attitude Era and the Nitro Era, because literally every Monday night you had no idea what was going on. And I loved it. I always ate it up. I always eat up the secret GMs or the hidden characters and the hidden codes or the surprise returns. That's me. I love it. And to see Reigns turn, I think for me, I would pop more for that as opposed to Ambrose. Ambrose would be like, oh, okay.
Well, Ambrose, well, they've all had turns at being heels. That's one thing that's kind of unique about this main event. Every one of them have been heels.
Well, when they were with the Shield.
Yeah, well, yeah, Ambrose and Reigns.
Not as singles, though.
Not as singles, no.
Right.
Not as singles, but they all have filled the role of a heel.
Now, if the flip did happen, Ambrose would have the better chance to, because he has the better mic skills than Reigns. So you'd almost have to put something with Reigns.
Well, yeah,
to carry him.
And Ambrose's character lends itself to telling the audience to go screw themselves.
Right.
I mean, he just has that attitude to begin with without actually coming out and saying it.
Because if you have Reigns' turn, you could build him for Brock Lesnar to be a face on his return to SummerSlam.
By the way, forgive me for jumping tracks here, but we're almost out of time. One thing I've checked out on the WWE Network, have you yet seen any of the episodes of Jerry Springer's Too Hot for TV?
No.
Don't waste your time.
Really? Because I was actually getting ready to yesterday, but I decided not to.
Well, I mean, still do it. I mean, maybe for show research purposes, but don't prepare to be overly or anything like that, because you're not going to see anything you haven't seen already on national TV.
Okay.
I mean, they did the one thing on the internet that is just totally unnecessary. Things are censored. And I couldn't help but think, well, then why bother?
Right.
I mean, come on. It's the internet, for frickin' sakes. Put a disclaimer at the beginning of it saying this thing is rated R, watch at your own risk, or parents tell your kiddies to leave the room or whatever, because obviously a lot of it's coming from the Attitude Era.
Right.
But still everything's blocked out. Everything is blurred. And it's just, you could show that on network television primetime.
Now, before we leave, because I know, and I'm going to jump just like you did.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
His farewell, now I won't say farewell speech, but he gave his speech, had to relinquish the title.
Seemed kind of final to me.
It really seemed very Edge-like.
Yes, it did.
And I read something online that people are completely agreeing. Very sad. I feel horrible for him. He is the most over character that WB has. And for him just to get this bad luck, man.
That is rough.
That has to be rough on him. And he's been in this business for a very long time. He started back in 98, believe it or not. He didn't even make it to WWE until, I think, 2011, 2010.
Yeah.
So he just got in time to make it. And for this to happen, I hope it's not true. I hope we see him back in the ring, and we see him very soon.
Well, I think your comparison to Edge is right on target.
Right.
They both ate, slept, and dreamed wrestling.
Right.
They were both dedicated to it. Edge had more experience in the WWE, but still they did the class thing of going out with their head held high and walking out and saying, hey, this is not my title. Actually, this belongs to you guys. That's where it needs to be.
I like this line, though. He goes, I like you people more than, or you people like me more than most people backstage.
I think that was probably had a great element of
jab
truth
there.
Well, it is sad to see him go. I hope, like you, I hope he does stick around. I hope we do see more of him in the ring, because he's a great performer. He's a great entertainer, and I hate to lose him. We'll check out our predictions after this Sunday night's pay-per-view and check back in next week to see which one of us is an idiot. Right here on the show we call SCI